Welcome to The Road Reflected with Nicole Wakeland. Automotive from the lighter side. That means cars, but also cookies, coffee, and pie. Up first, what's Nicole behind the wheel of this week?
This week I am behind the wheel of the Buick Envista.
Just a cool name.
It is a cool name, and it's a pretty cool little car. So this is a new model that debuted for 2024, and the Envista is the new entry-level model within the Buick lineup.
Yeah, and I saw the front of it, and I was like, is that a Buick? But I literally said that to you. Is that a Buick? And I had forgotten that's actually the commercial.
I know. Is that a Buick? I think it's that this is a Buick or that's a Buick or
is that a Buick or
that's a Buick?
Buick this or I don't know.
I think that's a Buick.
I'll Google
this is
it.
a Buick. You have to Google that.
Telling us about the Envista.
So the Envista. So there are 3 trim levels: a Preferred, a Sport Touring, and Avenir. The thing is that this starts at a really low price point for any vehicle. Forget a Buick. It starts at $23,500, tops out at $29,600. So it's under $30,000 even in the Avenir trim. And the Avenir for Buick is considered a sub-brand. So within the Buick lineup, Avenir is always the top trim of any vehicle that they offer.
Okay.
And it's the fanciest. It's they intend to be the most elegant. Yeah, it gets this fancy Avenir, and it's not printed like in a bold thing. It's a sort of scripted Avenir. So it looks great. Avenir. So the only thing is, this is front wheel drive only.
Okay, nothing wrong with that.
So yeah, but as we look out the window here in March, and it is in fact snowing.
Yes,
in New
and
England.
sleeting and icy.
Actually, terrible road conditions this morning.
Yeah.
So people might be saying, well, forget it. I'm writing this off my list entirely because it's front wheel drive. But I get that. By the same token, I am a huge fan of winter tires. And if you put winter tires on the vehicle, you're going to make up for a lot of what you use by not having all-wheel
front wheel drive is fine. It's rear wheel only that where it gets a little messier.
Right.
So I think
so. Not that all-wheel drive isn't great. It's great, but if you like this and you're looking at this and you're a little nervous about that, put winter tires on your car.
Yeah.
So that'll make up for a lot of that. So we drove the trim in the middle. We had the Sport Touring, and it's cool because it had little monogram, little Sport Touring on the seats, little ST.
Yeah.
So this
and the little bear claws new logo thing.
Yeah. The Buick Tri-Shield is new. Instead, they changed. It's always the 3 little shields.
Yeah.
But it's changed over the years exactly how they're designed, and this is the new design. So I think it looks like a claw.
Yeah, I do too.
Like a tiger has and made little claw marks. Some people thought it looked like a razor, like a men's razor.
Okay.
Other people thought it looked like nail clippers.
Really? I don't see the nail clippers. Maybe there was 3 little nail clippers?
3 little individual nail clippers.
Okay, I can sort of see it.
I know. I think it looks like I actually really like it.
But it does get you saying, is that a Buick? Which I did Google, and that is the campaign.
Is that a Buick? Is that a Buick? Yeah. I couldn't remember the exact thing.
Is that a Buick?
So, and funny story about that, I'm going to tell since we're talking about is that a Buick. So I went to get cookies at Crumble this week, as I'm known for doing. And it was a chilly day, and I didn't want to get out of the car. So I pulled up to the little curbside pickup, and you have to put into the app what car you have. And I didn't. So I thought Envista. No one's going to know what a Buick Envista is. So I put in silver Buick crossover or something.
The little person coming out would find your car easily.
You would think, except I see her inside, and she's got 2 little cookies. There's not a lot of people, so I'm pretty sure those boxes are my cookies.
Yeah.
And she's confused, and I see her talking to one of the other workers there, and they look, and the woman points like right there. That's where she is. She comes out the door and says, "I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that was you. I didn't know what that car was. And I thought I didn't write it."
She was like, "Is that the Buick?"
She didn't know what Buick was. She's like, "How do you say that? Buick?"
Buick.
Buick.
But I feel like now was she younger? Like we talking
she was
millennial-ish?
like in her mid-20s ish. So younger, but I thought I
think Buick has a brand recognition issue.
Right?
I'm thinking.
I was like, it's a Buick. She said, it's a really pretty car, but I didn't know what it was. I thought, that's terrible. That is the first time I've ever had someone not know at all. Yeah. And it wasn't that she couldn't tell when she looked out the window which car was the Buick. She had no idea what that word was. She didn't know what it was. She'd never heard of it.
Buick.
The Buick. And I thought, oh, Lord, that's terrible. I'm sorry, Buick.
Oh, no. Well,
I feel like they've got some work to do to get some brand recognition.
They need a good jingle. What you need to fix that problem, you need a good jingle. and that'll get it.
I
You
do
naming
think
it.
she's the exception that she actually didn't know what
Like
the word
Liberty
Buick.
Insurance. Liberty. You just
stop.
don't
I hate
remember.
those commercials.
You will not forget Liberty.
You know what's worse than the Burger King ones? I can't stand the Burger
they don't
King
say.
commercials.
Oh, yes, they do say. Burger.
They're like off-key weird.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to the Buick Envista.
Yeah.
I really like this car. So this is, it's not overly powerful. The engine in this is a 1.2 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder, 137 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque.
That's not a lot. Does it feel underpowered?
No, actually, it really doesn't. It does fine. And that's the thing. Like, you look at it and people see that, the numbers, right? Mm-hmm. And they see 3-cylinder and they say, I'm out.
Right.
Forget it. Count me out. I'm not doing this. But really, a lot of cars, once upon a time, it had to be a V8 or nobody would buy anything, right? Now, 6 cylinders are common, 4 cylinders. Like, don't just knock a car until you drive it. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm actually a fan of the Envista also because, like I said, that price point. This thing starts at $24,000.
Yeah.
So
that's nice and affordable.
That is nice and affordable.
Yeah.
And even if you go to the top trim, you're still looking at under $30,000 for this car.
That's really nice.
And it looks really slick. So in counter to the girl who didn't know what a Buick was, I had to chase down the mailman to give him a package. And when I pulled in front of
who I bet was older. Not in his 20s.
Not in his 20s. Okay. Maybe his 40s? I don't know.
Okay, well, then he's going to know what a Buick is.
What he said, he still asked what the car was. But he said he saw it. He's like, that's a really slick-looking car. What is that? So he liked it. He just didn't know what it was, which, again, is not so much brand recognition, but just getting it out there.
Is that a Buick? So they've accomplished their goal of looking cool and hip
Nobody
and young
knows
and
it's
modern.
a Buick. I don't know if
they just got to work on the brand recognition.
Right? I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
So it's not, because it's the entry level, either think of it this way. You're the kid who's just out of school and you want to get your first new car and you want something like this, you can afford to get this. Or if you've gone through and, okay, I've had the kids, I've had the big car, I don't need the big car. I want a nice, attractive, decent, really nice, just crossover kind of car, then that's why you can look for the Envista. So it's either end of that spectrum that people can go for. The Avenir is really super fancy inside. It's beautiful, looks much nicer. The ST is great, but even the base trim is not bad. But it has across the dashboard, it's one display panel, one display, but there's actually 2 screens in there. There's an 11-inch infotainment touchscreen, and then there is also an 8-inch digital instrument cluster in the one screen. Even though the trims, this is a more affordable Buick, even though it's not over the top fancy inside, that one little bit of tech, I feel like when they do that, it really goes a long way for making a vehicle look like it's premium. Because if you have an infotainment screen that just looks like it's kind of like slapped on the dashboard.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything for you.
Thwap, let's put it right here. This works, guys. Shove it right there. Make a spot for it here. When it looks like an afterthought, when it just kind of sticks out, it looks bulky and it looks
cheesy.
Dated and cheesy.
But this way, when it's built in all the way across, it looks like it's part of the design.
And the one screen, as opposed to having your instrument cluster and then a gap and then a screen that sticks up.
Is this the one that had the little dial?
It did have a little dial.
There was one car, I get so confused because so many cars, but there was a nice flat screen, and then right in the middle of the screen, there's a little volume knob.
Now I'm trying to remember exactly what.
Just on the otherwise perfectly flat screen, little volume knob. I can't remember if this car had it, but I'm just saying in general, if you're going to do that, don't put a little volume. I mean, I know, and I agree with
I want a volume knob.
Everybody wants a physical volume knob. Just don't put it, if you get this nice, beautiful flat screen from the driver all the way into front of the halfway to the passenger, whatever, and then in the middle of this, sort of like to the right of the steering wheel, there's this knob in the middle of the screen. Doesn't work. It just breaks the whole visual.
I liked how this looked, and I do like the Envista. I think this is a great car. I think a lot of people don't know that it exists. It's still new. I think it's a great option, and truly, especially on the outside, it looks slick and looks very, very premium. Hey everyone, if you like what you're hearing, then go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe either on YouTube or your favorite podcatcher.
And don't forget to leave us positive reviews on iTunes.
So the next thing I want to talk about is something that is just now been revealed, but I'm going to see them live and in person. By the time this airs, I will be there. So
jealous.
So I am flying out to Moab, Utah, to experience Easter Jeep Safari.
Yeah.
Now, Easter Jeep Safari is not a Jeep sponsored event. It's a local event.
And has nothing to do with rabbits or Easter.
No, apparently it's just that it always happens
Around Easter.
Right around Easter. Right. So Easter Jeep Safari, but because it is a just gathering of all fans of Jeep, and there's all sorts of off-road adventures that you can do, and just Jeep. It's all the Jeep, everything. Jeep does bring a small number of people out there, and they do each year come up with amazing concept vehicles. Last year there were 7. Yeah. This year there are 4. Okay. And basically what these aren't concepts like, hey, here's a glimpse at what we're going to do for our next generation Wrangler. No, they'll take this year's Wrangler and they do crazy stuff to it. Yeah. They do crazy fun stuff. So you will not see these vehicles exactly like you see them, but you could see elements of, hints of sort of what these are making their way someday into a production vehicle. So they have 4. They have 2 Wranglers, they have 1 Gladiator, and they have 1 Grand Wagoneer. Yeah. I'm going to start with a Grand Wagoneer because my parents, not me, had a Grand Wagoneer when I was a kid. It was burgundy and it had the wood paneling, the faux wood paneling on the side because that was baller back in whenever this was, okay? When they introduced the new Grand Wagoneer, it's not even available as an option. You can't get it, which was kind of funny because some people who remember the old one thought, oh man, it would have been cool to get that just sort of as a retro kind of nod to the original. Awesome. Yeah, yeah. Although there are companies out there that will mod your Grand Wagoneer. There's all the mod people out right? there. Yeah. And I've seen some versions of the new one with the full-on wood paneling like they had on the old one. Well, guess what? For this one, they came up with something they're calling the Vacationeer. Yes. And it has not the wide swath of wood paneling, but maybe it looks like it's maybe an inch. I
saw the picture, a little thin strip of wood paneling along the side.
A tiny bit of it along the side. It has this funky color. It's called spearminted.
Yeah, it's got like
not spearminted.
Spearminted, like a very light sort of blue-green.
It's just really pretty green. I love how it looks. And they did all sorts of fun stuff to this. And one of the neat things they did, so the Grand Wagoneer has 3 rows of seating. This one, they took out the 2 rear rows of seating on this. So you only have 1 row of seating because they made on the roof, they put this thing called, it is a red tail overland skyloft. Yeah. Basically, it's like a roof-mounted tent type situation.
Pop-up tent situation on
for
the roof.
2 people. Yeah. It says it's climate controlled, and I read through this stuff like 3 times. It almost looks like it's solar on top. I'm not sure. It looks like
there's solar panels up there.
So I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to get more information on that when I'm there because it wasn't entirely clear. But you can access it from apparently inside, and you can go from the outside. So you don't have the seats. The second and third row are missing from this. Right. You have this cool top. It's got like these like sort of cream colored steelies. So instead of fancy schmancy like Wagoneer wheels, you have just the most basic of wheels on it. It gets, bigger tires and it's all beefy and off-roady. But what I love is the inside. So inside they have this guy, his name is Keel James Patrick. And apparently he's a fashion designer who is a big time Wagoneer enthusiast. And he designed the inside of this. And it looks really cool. It includes a sort of plaid fabric. Yeah. And you think just like a cute plaid fabric. And when you look close, there's teeny tiny little vintage Jeeps. There's it's like a nod to Jeep culture, which is really, really cool. And it has the new 3-liter Hurricane twin turbo engine in there, which has 510
If you're doing a concept vehicle, just throw it all in there.
So it's really cool. And then, so that was the Grand Wagoneer, which I've always loved because my parents had one and it reminds me of when I was a kid.
Plus the little tiny wood paneling strip.
Exactly. They have a fancy tricked out Rubicon. Yep. It has a color that's called Ginger Snap.
I love the color of that one. That might have been my favorite color.
The colors they come up with are just fabulous.
Now, those colors, are they colors they have, or are these wacky colors just for this?
They're normally wacky colors. So whether, there's no guarantee that these things will never appear on a Jeep vehicle. It's just...
They just look too crazy to be real. But they are real.
This one doesn't. This Ginger Snap,
the Ginger Snap is really cute. The Ginger Snap could be done.
Right?
I think people would sell
and they've done some cool stuff. The Jeep Performance Parts, which is a part of the Mopar parts thing. Yeah. There's a cool truck bed storage system that they put in there from Decked. And then they have the JPP, the Jeep Performance Parts logo is on the headrest, and they put like a little, roof thing in there. They've done all these random parts, but it's like black and tan inside and quilted. It looks, this looks more Grand Wagoneer traditionally than the actual Grand Wagoneer with its funky seats. So, but it still looks beautiful. So that is the Gladiator. And then they have 2 different Wranglers that they've come together. They have one that they call the, they call it the Dispatcher concept. Yeah. And the idea on this is just sort of, or Willys Dispatcher. The Willys is the old.
Oh, yeah, they have that cool embossed Willys logo on the hood.
Right, and it's embossed on the hood. And this one is a green, but it doesn't get a cutesy name. It's Element 115 green.
Sounds like it's radioactive.
I don't know. It does kind of sound radioactive.
Like uranium green.
So, and they've done things to this one where, again, they've lifted it. So they've made it look vintage, but like rugged and off-road ready. Yeah, and this is a 4xe. This is a hybrid.
Yep.
So it's using existing powertrains in all three of these.
They got an existing sort of core. And
right. It's taking an actual Jeep and modifying it. It's not like this is a completely non-existing vehicle. So they have that one. And the other one they have, and I really like this one, is called the Jeep Lowdown Concept.
Yeah, and it was not low.
No, it was not. It is very, very high. So the original one was, there was a vehicle called the Lower 40, I think like 13, 14 years ago. Well, now this is the Lowdown.
Okay.
So it's sort of like an homage to that. And it's really cool looking. And it has poison apple red.
It looks awesome.
It's
like a nice.
Right?
Yeah.
And then it has, there's a radio delete option. There's no radio. So you have this large screen. It says 392, which is it, which looks fantastic. And this is the sort of weird part. So I'm looking at all the images that they sent us ahead of time before this vehicle was revealed. And I noticed that, like, especially one, the driver, her face is like red.
Yeah.
I'm like, what weird filter? And then I realized they have what they call a bikini top on the Jeep, which is sort of a see-through-y kind of, just not really
so
a
it's
roof.
It's translucent.
It's red.
Color red.
So it makes her look red. And
wow.
And I don't know how much the picture has enhanced this, but I want to sit down and like have someone take my picture and say, how red does my face look in this? It was kind of funky. But so there's 4 different concepts.
Wait, on the Lowdown, isn't the engine really good in that thing?
Yes. The engine in the Lowdown, it gets a V8 that has
an actual V8.
Yeah, 474 horsepower.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the most powerful one is the Lowdown. If you want to just
or 475 horsepower. Sorry, yeah.
Nice.
It's a 6.4 liter 392 V8 engine. Hence the 392 on the dashboard.
All of them are cool, but the Lowdown, man.
Right? Yeah. I know. So which one, if you had to pick based on those little summaries, and you've seen the pictures already, you can. I actually wrote a story for CarBuzz, so there's a story with all the images over on CarBuzz. If you've seen the pictures, what do you think?
I think the Lowdown. I mean, the Lowdown's the least practical yet most fun of the bunch.
Yeah,
I think.
I kind of like the Lowdown or that Vacationeer. Because I
don't think I'd use, like, okay, so they're both not practical.
Use the Lowdown either.
No, but the Lowdown you can go I mean, I feel like the stuff in the Vacationeer, like, it's camping for 2, which I guess is cool, but I kind of like the Lowdown. I know, but the Lowdown is like,
it V8. Does look the coolest. Even by the gas cap, it says
or the Willys.
It says like jet fuel only. The Willys is called the Jeep Willys dispatcher concept.
That was cool too. It was a tie for me between the Willys and the Lowdown.
You're just a Wrangler guy. It's your thing.
Yes.
He's like, I am not denying it. That. No denying it. I am a Wrangler fan.
That is correct.
So those 4 concepts are making their debut. The embargo has just lifted on those. I will be seeing them the day the podcast goes live here. I will be able to see them in Moab. I'll be doing all sorts of cool, fun Jeep stuff. So next week, I'll get to be able to report back on what it was actually like.
We need a two-parter on this. I want to know how they were.
It is kind of a two-parter. So this is a preview. This is what I'm going to go see. Yeah. And then I'm going to experience it all and get to do some off-roading. Do you get to drive these things? I'm honestly not sure.
All right, we're going to find out.
So I believe possibly.
All right, cool.
Could be really fun. I'm just going to sleep. Awesome. I want to just spend the night in the Vacationeer. Forget it.
That'd be cool.
I just want to, you can keep my hotel room. Can I sleep the night in this? I want to experience this the way God intended out in the desert, sleeping in my little camper. Hey, wait, did we just drive by a bakery? Okay, so this is something that comes to us courtesy of you.
Yes.
Okay, so you went to New York City this week.
I had a business trip. Yes.
He had a business trip. He was Mr. Fancy Pants Businessman.
Yeah.
And that's his official job title. In fact, it's on his business card.
Fancy Pants Businessman.
Fancy Pants Businessman. And you met with a bunch of your colleagues who were from all over the place.
Yes.
And you brought nothing. And they brought stuff.
I did feel really bad about that. I mean, I did take them all to dinner, but I should have brought some. Next time I'll bring some kind of New Hampshire.
Because there were people from other places around the world. It wasn't just people from New York or people from New England. It was people from all around the world. Somebody brought some cool peanuts from Georgia.
Virginia.
Sorry, Virginia peanuts. So somebody bought Virginia peanuts. And then somebody from Belgium.
Belgium, yeah.
Brought Belgium chocolate.
Which are legit chocolates.
Belgian chocolate is so good.
Does everybody know that? Belgium's like famous for their
Belgian chocolates are a thing. No, I think everybody knows. If you don't, you know now. Yes, Belgian chocolates are a thing. And these are called, I'm going to say this wrong, Leonidas. It's like Leon, Idas. So I would say Leonidas. chocolates. And it's this, I thought we were going to open the box and it was going to be trays with maybe like a dozen chocolates. There's a lot of chocolates in this box.
And they're not
just
like,
packed
so you
full.
might be familiar with like Godiva chocolates, which is also Belgian chocolate, but Godiva is global also, obviously the most well-known one. But Godiva comes in the packages and they're like all spread out.
And there's a little plastic tray that kind of holds them all in their little pods.
These are from a different company. Did you mention the name?
I did. I just said it. Leonidas.
Leonidas, which is also well known because I was asking ChatGPT like, which is the most famous Belgian chocolate company?
And it's well known.
And Leonidas and Godiva are there. Godiva is the most well known, but they pack them in with just like little layers of paper between like rows and rows of these chocolates.
So you just pack this little cardboard box full of chocolate.
Yeah, so it's just like chocolate. And so you get a lot more in there. I don't know if it's more affordable or not than Godiva.
It's a dense box of chocolates.
Yeah,
Because when you brought it home, I went to look at it and I thought, oh, there'll be, and then I moved the box
heavy.
and I thought, this is a lot of chocolate in here.
But it's funny because she was like telling us she was going to give us the chocolates we met for the morning in the hotel.
Yeah.
And my one colleague was like, well, I'm not going to have to pack. I'm just going to eat them all. And she said, no. If you will not eat all these things in one sitting.
If you ate all this, you would not feel great if you ate all of this in one sitting.
I don't know, like 15, 20 chocolates. It's a lot.
Easily there's 20
and they're
chocolates
heavy,
in there.
So I don't know if everybody knows this, but so Belgian chocolate's the most famous. The chocolate bonbon or the praline sort of one is the one that was invented in Brussels in 1912 is what I'm learning.
Yes.
And that's sort of like the classic Belgian confectionery. So they sort of started that whole thing out, which I think is really interesting. But they're all like that. They're all got that little praline vibe going on, the little like chocolate sort of enrobed sort of nougat things.
Isn't that just like such a chocolate word? You watch cooking shows, enrobed.
That's the only reason I know that is because I watch those shows like how they make food.
That's
it's like,
it.
And then it's enrobed. The nougat is then enrobed in chocolate. I'm like, oh, it just sounds cool.
It just sounds cool. I mean,
enrobed just sounds lovely. Like you're putting on a nice soft robe, you know.
So we have these chocolates, and I thought, and I like chocolate, and I tried this. These are so good. These are so good, and I have like it comes a little chart.
What are some of the flavors
you can see? There's one that my favorite of the lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's the where's the English version? White chocolate, speculoos, buttercream, and pralines. So you know the Biscoff cookies you get on a Delta flight?
Yeah, isn't that speculoos? That's what that is, right?
That's what that kind of cookie is.
Yeah.
So imagine you made a buttercream.
Yes.
Out of that stuff.
Right?
And then you put in a little white chocolate.
Yeah.
And put little nuts in there.
And is that your favorite of the bunch?
And then you sprinkle some crumbled bits of that on top of it.
Because why would you not?
And you put it into a little bite-sized piece of chocolate.
Exactly.
It is so good.
It is so good.
I had one because I thought, okay, I got to have one. They're going to be really rich. Which one do I try? And after I look at my little handy-dandy chart, see?
Yep.
My little chart that I'm holding in my hand right now. I thought this is the one. And I thought, oh my gosh, I want all of them. I don't want my family to eat any of those. I just want that one. I just want all of that one. I want a box that big of nothing but those.
Now, they've been home for not quite 24 hours yet.
Yes, we've tried them.
And have you tried them all?
I think I have because I shared some with our daughter too. We had a couple of bites.
And that was the speculoos one is definitely your favorite?
Actually, I don't know if I tried all of them yet. That was my favorite. There's a lot of different kinds of chocolates in here, but I like that one. There was also one that was like a coffee buttercream that had a coffee bean on top.
Yeah.
And you bite in, there's a coffee bean. Oh, that was good. I had that. I had that at breakfast. No one judged me.
It's coffee. It's
coffee.
Fine.
It felt like it had a coffee bean in it. It was like a pastry, but just without the pastry part.
Exactly. It was like having a pastry. It was like a croissant and coffee.
It was like the croissant without the croissant bit. It was just the filling in a chocolate croissant.
It's more efficient. You can eat it all in like 2 bites. It's great.
Exactly. I like that one. So these are amazing.
Yeah.
So now I feel like I just like them on a chocolate.
What was the most
kick
exotic flavor in there that you're like, I don't know if I would try that and like it, but then you did.
I don't know if there's one that's exotic. I mean, there's a berry one.
Was there a tea one in there?
There's a raspberry one.
Okay.
There's a couple of there's the coffee ones.
Yep.
There's a caramel one.
Yeah, I had that one. It's really good.
The caramel one is really good. I don't know if there's a crazy one. There's a dark chocolate and a light chocolate in the coffee.
Yeah, dark chocolate.
I don't know. I think maybe the speculoos.
That is the most unusual one. But I'm not scared of that one at all because Biscoff cookie.
I know that's probably the most unusual one.
Okay.
I don't feel like you often find that in chocolate form. And I'm trying to think, there's a place near us that sells little chocolates too. I don't know if you realize that. There's a little bakery. We have a fancy bakery and they also sell chocolates. And I'm like, are they this brand? I can't remember. I've never gotten the chocolates there because it's a bakery. So I'm compelled to get bakery stuff.
Now I'll have to check.
Now I'm going to have to look because they have some fancy chocolate section and I always walk by and I'm like, I'm not here for the chocolate. I'm here
Now
for
you
your
have to look because if they have your
French
speculous
bread
chocolate, that might have to be what you get.
and your pastries. But now I'm thinking I might have to. I have to get some chocolate. If we'll have to see. Easter's coming up. I love these. I keep saying to myself, we can have these for our guests at Easter.
We have a lot of desserts at Easter already.
No, that's not the question of whether we have a lot of desserts. It's like
I'm pretty sure we have a bunny-shaped cake and bunny-shaped cupcakes. And now we need truffles.
Well, if they make it that long, why wouldn't I not let my guests have a bite?
Oh, I see. The ones that we already have. You're not buying more.
No,
I thought you were going to go to the local bakery and buy more.
These make it, but I don't know if these are all going to make it.
I don't know. Are we down to half yet?
We have way more than half left.
Okay,
maybe
so we will.
Maybe we'll have chocolates.
But it's
on
only been
Easter.
24 hours. I feel like they can make it. Thanks for listening to The Road Reflected. To follow more of Nicole Wakeland's adventures, head on over to NicoleWakeland.com. There you'll find links to her social media from TikTok to Twitter, as well as her work across a wide range of media outlets. Until next time, keep it shiny side up.